My name is Waffles, and I'm a government whistleblower turned political commentator, and this is the last 24 hours in the news. It is currently 1:50 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on July 5th, 2025. Here are the top U.S. news highlights for the past 24 hours. Senate advances Trump's one big treasonous bill. The Senate passed a 51-49 procedural vote to advance President Trump's massive $3 trillion tax and spend package dubbed the Big Beautiful Bill by Trump and his allies. This is H.R. 1 of the 119th Congress. Nonpartisan analysts say the bill would add roughly $3.3 trillion to the national debt over the next 10 years. While two Republican senators, Tom Tillis and Rand Paul, broke ranks to oppose it, Democrats say it mainly benefits the wealthy and cuts essential programs. Elon Musk called the bill utterly insane and destructive, warning it could cost millions of jobs. Immigration enforcement and impersonators. Federal authorities have stepped up ICE arrests, including cases of individuals impersonating immigration officers, prompting concern and protests within immigrant communities. Arrests have included a U.S. military veteran and family members facing deportation, sparking criticism over the impact on service members and their households. Satellite data raises hurricane forecasting concerns. Meteorologists warned that interference or loss of crucial U.S. satellite data could set hurricane forecasting back decades, leaving emergency management systems vulnerable during peak storm season. Pop culture. F1, the movie, tops the box office. We're not going to talk about movies over here. Flash flooding tragedy in Texas. Flash floods near Camp Mystic in central Texas resulted in at least 24 deaths, mostly young campers swept away by swollen river waters. Rescue and recovery efforts are ongoing as authorities investigate the disaster. Why these things matter: fiscal policy and impact. The tax and spend bill could reshape fiscal priorities and trigger long-term debt concerns. Immigration policy enforcement, rising ICE actions, and impersonation cases highlight ongoing tensions in enforcement practices. Public safety, loss of satellite data risks weakening hurricane preparedness ahead of critical season. Human tragedy. The Texas flash flood reminds us of increasing climate-related disasters and the need for robust emergency response. Here's a detailed overview of current hazardous weather across the U.S. that people should be aware of right now. Extreme heat and heat dome. High temperatures, 94 to 97, are forecast across large parts of the Central Plains, Midwest, and parts of the East Coast. This heat wave poses serious risks for heat exhaustion, dehydration, and heat stroke, especially among outdoor workers, children, the elderly, and pets. Weather models indicate that this hot pattern may persist for the next week, potentially escalating into a heat dome. A prolonged period of extreme heat can impact power grids and public health. Scattered strong to severe storms, July 6th through 8th, Sunday through Tuesday. Severe thunderstorms are expected in parts of the Midwest and Plains. These storms may bring damaging winds, large hail, heavy rainfall, and leading to flash flooding. For example, central Minnesota and North Dakota have active severe storm watches and warnings in effect, indicating high risk today and tonight. Flash flood emergency in central Texas. Historic flash flooding July 4th through 5th in hill country around Caryville and Guadalupe River has caused catastrophic impacts, several confirmed deaths, and at least 27 people still missing, including campers. Floodwaters surged nearly 30 feet in under an hour, overwhelming forecasts and stressing local emergency capacity. Warnings are in place and rescue efforts continue amid ongoing flash flood threats. Lightning risk on the Gulf Coast. A lightning strike in Pinellas County, Florida, injured 3 people at a beach on July 4th. Florida remains vulnerable to lightning hazards during the afternoon storms common in summer, with 1 to 2 million strikes yearly, causing about 20 deaths annually. Fire weather and red flag alerts. Western states, especially Oregon, Idaho, Nevada, and Utah, are under red flag warnings due to strong winds, low humidity, and dry vegetation. Combined with heat, these conditions heighten risk of wildfire ignition and rapid spread, particularly during holiday outdoor activities. Safety recommendations for heat: hydrate, stay in shaded and cool areas, and limit outdoor exertion midday. For storms, monitor local NWS alerts, avoid travel during thunderstorms, and seek shelter at the first sign of thunder. For flash floods, never drive through flooded roads, turn around, don't drown. You don't know how deep it is, you don't want to stall out your car, you don't want water going into your engine. For lightning, stay indoors or in a hard, toppled vehicle when storms approach. Avoid open spaces and tall objects. For fire danger, follow fire restrictions, extinguish all outdoor flames fully, be cautious during fireworks or campfires. Here are the top international news highlights from the past 24 hours. Devastating flash floods in Texas. U.S. impacts torrential rains along Texas's Guadalupe River near Camp Mystic summer camp triggered catastrophic flash flooding. At least 27 people confirmed dead, including 9 children. Dozens remained unaccounted for as rescue operations continue. Floodwaters surged to 29 feet under 2 hours without warning. Officials issued evacuation orders and are committed to finding all missing campers. OPEC Plus plans further oil output increase. OPEC Plus is expected to expand August oil supply by more than 411,000 barrels per day following earlier production hikes in May and July. June also saw a supply-driven output lift led by Saudi Arabia and UAE, while Iraq remained under target to maintain balance. Putin and Trump were on the phone while the one big treasonous bill was being passed in the Congress, while Putin was also at the same time simultaneously initiating attacks on Ukraine. During this call, Putin and Trump discussed doing a traditional values film exchange. Kremlin advisor Yuri Yushakov, summarizing the July 3rd call, said that Putin suggested the U.S. and Russia consider exchanging films that promote traditional values shared by Moscow and the Trump administration. This came up alongside discussions on Ukraine, Iran, and other geopolitical topics. TASS and Moscow Times confirmed that Putin brought up the film exchange during the forum on July 3rd. Medusa, citing the same as another news resource, Yushakov remarks, emphasized that the exchange was framed in terms of traditional values. No formal list of films or signed cultural agreements has been announced yet. It appears to remain a diplomatic concept. No ceasefire has resulted from the conversation, and attacks on Ukraine are ongoing. This call comes shortly after the United States, who is supposed to be an ally to Ukraine and is supposed to be considering Russia a foreign adversary, has denied weapons distribution that was scheduled to take place to Ukraine, resultantly putting Ukrainian lives in danger in favor of Russia. Since early July, the U.S. has paused shipments of key military systems to Ukraine, including approximately 30 Patriot air defense interceptors, around 8,500 155mm howitzer shells, 250 plus GMLRS precision rocket missiles, hundreds of Hellfire air-to-surface missiles, and other systems to include AIM-7 Sparrow air-to-air missiles, Stinger shoulder-fire missiles, AT-4 grenade launchers, and related precision munitions. The Pentagon, under Secretary Elbridge Colby, initiated a stockpile review, citing concerns of depleted reserves exacerbated by extensive U.S. aid to Ukraine, Israel, and operations to the Middle East. Why don't we just cut off aid to Israel? The whole world hates it anyways, and they may decide to attack the United States if we continue to do that. So if we want to talk about depleted reserves, we can consider, reducing that aid to Israel. Go to part 2 if you're on TikTok. Reactions and consequences. Ukraine expressed alarm, stating that any delays would embolden Russia and degrade its defense against increasing Russian airstrikes. U.S. legislators from both parties, Senator I don't know if I'm going to say it right, Jeanne Shaheen, Reps Brian Fitzpatrick, and Marcy Kaptur, warned that halts risk undermining confidence in U.S. commitments and could cost lives. Russia's Kremlin welcomed the news, saying cutting off weapons brings an end to the war closer. Analysts suggest that although European allies may partially fill the gap, no one else has the capacity to match U.S.-made systems like Patriots and HIMARS. Follow-up, Trump and allies. President Trump reaffirmed the pause, emphasizing strategic priority. That looks like it's in the favor of Russia. And mentioning that he might later release more Patriot missiles depending on U.S. availability. He noted ongoing discussions with Germany and NATO partners about joint weapons production and air defense cooperation. What it means for Ukraine, it means a loss of air defense and precision munitions, which could expose cities and frontline units to greater Russian attacks. Allied coordination pressures Europe to ramp up contributions and develop local defenses. Reflects a pivot towards Indo-Pacific and national reserves with implications for global commitments. Bipartisan U.S. concern may influence Congress or future policy reversals. Bottom line, the U.S. pause on aid reflects a strategic recalibration, balancing stockpile management and global commitments, but with Russia stepping up airstrikes and the potential shortfall in critical systems like the Patriot is fueling serious concerns in Kiev and among allies. We're just going to stop real quick. I'm going to take a moment to comment on this. There's a lot that Trump has been doing that is in favor of Russia, in my opinion, based on my observations. So I'm just expressing my opinion at this point right now. Russia is not a country to want to be like. By the way, Russia has half of the population of the United States, so if there was a feud between Russia and the United States, there's a very good chance that they would not win. Other than that, mortality rates for women are incredibly high due to outbreaks of violence in Russia. So again, especially if you're female, being like Russia is not something that we should aspire to here in the United States. Russia's economy is horrible. People are suffering and they're broke. And if Donald Trump is going to attempt to emulate Putin and be like Putin and take orders from Putin, which is, I'm not saying that he is, but that's what this looks like. That's what this has been looking like for quite some time. Strategically, Putin has been, this is the largest casualty war that Russia has experienced. They did fight in World War II. So the fact that they are killing so many of their own civilians over this tiny little landmass in comparison to the size of Russia, called Ukraine, is pretty ridiculous. And, it definitely reflects negligence and not caring about the civilian populace and just blatant, just destructive bullshit. Other than that tiny little landmass we call Ukraine has just been really doing some serious harm to Russia as far as defending themselves. Because it is Russia that initiated the attacks. Russia is the aggressor. The majority of the world, including the United States, acknowledges that. Russia is a foreign adversary. They do not support human rights. And if we are going to support Russian policy and try to run our country like Russia, there is going to be a lot of violence and a lot of people are going to suffer. So I want to say that. I don't know. This is absolutely disgusting. Other than that, on the world stage, we have our allyships. A president's term is 4 years, and it really makes the United States look unstable and bad as a country to even ally yourself with. So when it comes to cleaning up this mess afterwards, nobody's going to trust the United States. So as far as people wanting to do trade with us or even reestablishing global peace, this is a huge problem that Donald Trump is out here taking a crap all over our allyships as a country, because it makes us look unstable and makes it so that, we are not trustworthy in the long term as far as what nations can expect from the United States. From my own perspective, it certainly appears that he is aligning himself with foreign adversaries, countries that the United States does not have faith in, to include terrorist organizations in the Middle East. Qatar is not a nation that we should be taking bribes from. So there's my soapbox speech. I'm going to get off of it and continue with the news. That is it for Russia-Ukraine right now. Japan issues earthquake evacuations and dispels rumors after a 5.5 magnitude quake off of Kyushu. Japanese authorities evacuated residents from high-risk islands and dismissed viral doomsday claims tied to a comic book storyline. The area recorded 1,000 tremors in 2 weeks, a reminder of Japan's persistent seismic risk. Tragedy in Portugal, football stars' funeral draws crowds. Hundreds gathered in Gondomar for a public viewing and procession for former Liverpool star Diogo Jota and his brother, who were both killed in a car accident in Spain. Teammates and local residents joined mourners in a collective tribute. Why this matters. Humanitarian alert. The Texas floods highlight the unpredictability and deadly impact of flash floods, underscoring the importance of emergency preparedness and timely alerts. Energy markets. Additional OPEC Plus supply could pressure oil prices further, easing consumer costs, but potentially squeezing producers. Geopolitical tension. Russia remains attentive to U.S. political dynamics, with continued friction around Ukraine diplomacy. Disaster readiness. Japan's quake response reflects ongoing national vigilance and the need to counter misinformation. Global solidarity, public mourning, and support for the Jota family demonstrates shared humanity beyond borders. That is it for the last 24 hours in the news. Today is July 5th, 2025. It is currently 2:15 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. My name is Waffles. I'm a government whistleblower turned political commentator. Don't forget to smash that like button, leave a comment, and help get us to 10,000 subs. That's on TikTok for this profile. Other than that, subscribe, guys. Follow me for more news updates. Check out the link tree in my bio. It leads to all of my platforms. I am all over the place.
So the Olympics is great. And Johnny, for the others, the World Cup, Johnny is the head of it. We had our top people, Wasserman. They all came in on the Olympics, and then I saw Johnny. And we got the World Cup too. And it's only because they rigged the election that I'll be your president representing you there. I got both of them. I got the Olympics and I got the World Cup. And I said, it's too bad. One was in 2026 and the other was in 2028. And I said, I won't be there. I won't be your president. But then they rigged the election and now we won. So I'm going to be your president for the Olympics and for the World Cup. So, Johnny, thank you for the World Cup. And everybody, thank you for the Olympics. We're going to have a great time.
Hey, guys, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment on my videos. And also, don't forget to check out my shop where you could get this awesome Real Patriots Punch Nazis t-shirt. America, fuck yeah! And if you go to the link tree in my bio on most platforms, it's got links to everything, all of my stuff. You can find my shop there. I'm on eBay. You can also get this cool Exterminate MAGA sticker, because MAGA's fucking cockroaches. And fuck MAGA, abolish MAGA, fuck you MAGA.